Hello, 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 everybody. Hi. Sorry, a little bit late popping on. I had trouble pouring my paint. But anyway, hey. So, tonight's practice session, How to Tuesdays. Yes. So, say hello, hello, hello if you're practicing with me tonight. Let me know if anyone's practicing with you. So, there's no actual painting. We're just going to put something together. I'm going to show you poinsettias, pine, holly, like all sorts of good stuff like that. I'm also going to go over composition a little bit. I know, big word, no worries, I'll explain it to you. So my name's Eve, this is Eve's Creations Paint Party, and of course we have to give props to you-know-who. Oh yeah, there he is, he's lounging. He's lounging. And here he comes. So, you never know when Mr. Butters might chime in. So, of course, we have to give him props. Let me show you my handy-dandy table. Once you look at my palette, you'll know what I was talking about. So, let's see what we got here other than me upside down. All right, so it is blue, black, yellow, red, and white. Always the same colors every party. I got different menagerie brushes here. I'll let you know what I'm using when I'm using it. Of course, the water, the paper towels, and the ever-important Java. Mr. Nifties are in the house. Oh, yeah. So if you want Nifties of your own, just send support and make sure I have your address, and I will send you out free Nifties. Yes, that's what we're talking about. Tina M is here. Hello, 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 Tina M. There's my girl, so make sure you say hi to me. Tina B is here. How you doing? How you doing? My Tinas are in the house. That's right, you're my Tinas. You belong to me. So let me put you in your handy-dandy holder, and we'll get things started. Oh, yeah. Janice is here. Hello, 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 Janice. So, I'm glad to see my comments are working. I do apologize for last week. For some reason, comments weren't working. So, I couldn't talk to you guys. I just lost my pen. You see me walking around? See all the swirling going on behind me? That's me walking around trying to find my pen. Because I just had it in my hand and then I put it down. That's the way we are around here. All right, so you guys are going in your handy-dandy holder, even though there's nothing to look at. Whoop. All righty, so put you in there. Da, 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 da. I'm working on a 16 by 20, 16 this way, 20 that way. Like I said, this is a practice session, so you guys can work on whatever you want. You got a piece of cardboard laying around, whip it out, babe. Whip it out, because, you know, that's how we roll around here. You know, if you have mixed media paper, if you have old canvas laying around, whatever you want. Whatever you want. It's all up to you guys. Yes, it's your how-to. So if you have any questions, 6,000% ask me. This is your practice session, and it is always free to watch. Tips are appreciated. I am going to post those links now, and you'll also see the stars are enabled. So if you want to hit some stars, that's cool. And always kid-friendly. So I'll try to watch this thing. You guys try to watch comments. I got my extra dark lips on tonight. Channeling my inner vampire. Alright, so I got to throw a background on this bad boy, right? So let's go with winter. So I got my 1-inch flat. I call him Big Boy. And I'm grabbing some white and I'm grabbing some blue. Grabbing some white and I'm grabbing some blue. That's all I'm doing. Hello, hello, hello. April, where you been? You've been hiding out. You've been hiding out. How you been, love? I hope everything is well with you. April's in the house. Oh, yeah. So I am just doing blue and white, guys. You guys, you know, you facilitated this. I used to just show you how to do things, and then you facilitated wanting a full background. You've been busy? Yeah, it seems to be the time of the year. Been busy. So you guys facilitated this like whole painting thing, making me work extra hard. So this is your comeuppance. You have to sit through me doing backgrounds. That's what happens. That's what happens. So let's throw this on real quick as everybody else is joining us tonight. Everybody else is popping on. And, oh, family, we need prayers sent out. We need prayers and blessings. Tina M. has a friend that is not doing so well. So if everybody can leave that in your prayers. So she's going to go visit her tomorrow. That's right. I'm telling all your secrets, Tina M. She messaged me earlier. And, you know, she's doing her neighborly thing. She's going to go visit her friend. And we're gonna do prayers and well wishes for your friend Tina M. Because that's just the way we roll around here. That's the way we do things, right? We do it family style. You guys got it. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. You guys are awesome. So I'm just doing white and blue. All I'm doing. Shoop, and now I'm going to soften it out. The more you brush over something, the softer it'll get, the more it'll blend together. But you have to do this while the paint is still wet. Otherwise, you are not going to be able to. So the more you brush over it, the softer it gets. And the more it mixes together. 6,000%. Of course, you are so welcome. You are so welcome. So that's why I softened that top part out while it was still wet. And now I'm going to go ahead and do the bottom. Okay, so, you know, blending only happens while the paint's still wet. If you guys have trouble painting, if you have trouble blending, the one reason is it's because your paint might be drying too fast on you. And if you're using craft paint, that's 6,000% really hard. Really hard to blend. Because just the way it's made to dry fast and it's made to dry solid. So it's not easy to blend with. So don't always blame yourself. It might not be you. It might just be what you're using. You got yourself a blending gel medium at Michael's. Yes, so that is you know, there's lots of mediums out there. They call them using different mediums. And there's lots of mediums out there to keep acrylics more fluid. Basically, it just means it's kind of like keeps them from drying fast. So there's lots of stuff out there that you can use. Sometimes I just turn around and throw a little water on my paintbrush. And that could kind of kickstart it. And April, you got to let the fam know how that medium works out for you. Because everyone's always looking for a trick or two. And I don't necessarily use those. I'm going to add some red now. I'm grabbing some red with the blue and the white. Grabbing some red because I want a table. So I'm going to make a purple table. Making a purple table. Yes, we are. Purple in the house. So anyway, all of my paint decided not to work as I was trying to get it on my palette. So that's why my palette is a big mess, right? That's why my palette wound up being a big mess, but that's okay. That's all right. It's just a good thing I decided to pour my paint before the video started because it turned into like a 10-minute project. Turned into a 10-minute project. That's what it turned into. And that's why I was late popping on. Because, you know, those things happen sometimes. Not going to stress it. I used to stress stuff like that. I don't stress stuff like that anymore. No, because it's not worth it. It's not worth to stress the little things, right? What do they say? Don't sweat the small stuff? Right? Don't sweat the small stuff. That's what they say. That's what the saying is. So I just grabbed a little bit of red with the rest of this paint. And pushing it around. And pulling. Pulling straight across. That's it. If you notice, I move myself, not the hand. And I just pull. Right? I just pull. I'm literally moving my body when I do that. And again, softening. So, I'm going to swirl tap that big boy. And I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the word composition. Big word, right? But if you break it down, hi everybody. How's everybody doing? If you break it down, composition is made from the word compose, right? So if you break the word down, it is a very large word made out of the word compose. And what does it mean to compose something? Well, compose means to create and to put together a bunch of pieces to make something, right? You're back home and watching with little Jimmy. Yes, Jimmy's in the house. Hello, Diane. So when you compose something, you take parts and you make it into a whole, and that whole is called a composition, right? So I want to talk to you a bit about composition, right? So it's a really big word, basically, and it means to compose something. Obviously, what does compose mean? You're taking a bunch of parts and you're making it a whole. All right, so when you guys are planning a painting for yourselves, there is the technical term called composition, right? So you want to pay attention to your parts and you want to pay attention to where your parts are. So I am going to do, so I'm just going to grab white paint right now. And I am going to put together where I want stuff and how I want it. All right. So I'm going to create what my composition is going to be. I hope you guys are catching on, right? Using big fancy words, and they just mean to make something. And it just means, when you hear the word composition, that means where are your parts going? Okay, where are the parts? So I need a planter, right? So, and I want the planter to be the focal point. Focal point is where your eyes focus when you look at something, okay? So basically it means the first thing you see when you look at a painting, right? So every painting, there's always an object that stands out to you, or it's painted in a certain way to draw your eye to a certain object. So that is called creating a focal point, right? Big words, doesn't really mean much. It's basically where you want everybody to look at your painting first. That's what it means. All right, so this is going to be dead center, right? So I want my planter, I want my planter, planter, I got to get the T in there, to be dead center, right? So dead center is my focal point. So I am going to pop in a planter, okay? Bam, just like that. There it is. And I'm just grabbing some white paint. I'm allowing it to mix in my background. It's all good. Because right now I am just putting the pieces together that's going to create the composition of my painting. You guys got that so far? No worries, right? Now, one thing about a painting is that I don't know what it is, but odds are more aesthetically, there's another big word for you. Basically, aesthetic is, geez, I don't even know how to explain that. Aesthetic is like the overall look of something, I guess, would be a way to explain that. So, they're more pleasing to the eye, odds. All right, so we're doing poinsettias, holly, and pine, right? That's what I promised. Okay, so I know I want a poinsettia over here. Okay, so I am going to draw the basic of my poinsettia, and it's pointy leaves. All right, so I am just swooping that way to a point and swooping it back in. That's all I'm doing. And this is just creating where I want my poinsettia to be. And also, I'm putting my shape together, and I am just going to fill that in with white paint. Now, you're going to say, Eve, your white paint's mixing with your background. That's fine. That is fine. All right? How many times do I tell you that acrylic paint is layers? So you want to do layers. Also, when you're putting an object, you want to turn around and start smaller than you want the actual object, because the more you play with it, that's right, guys, you know, the bigger it gets. Okay, so whenever you put an object, you want to turn around and start it off smaller than you actually want it. All right, so bam, we have a poinsettia. Okay, and I'm going to throw another poinsettia in here. And I want this one to be all the way up here, right? So I'm just going to throw it in, okay? Again, you're just doing pointed leaves, all right? That's why it's called a poinsettia, right? Everything about it is a point. So I'm doing this, and you got to imagine hands of a clock, okay? So if this is the center of your clock, you want your leaves to follow like the hands of a clock. So if I was to do this, right, I would do like a hand this way, and then you could do a hand coming out that way. I already did this one, right? And then a hand this way, a hand that way. Okay, hands of a clock, right? So this way you have all your leaves pointing to a center. And then once you have those hands in, you can turn around and do whatever shape your petal wants. Now, this works for poinsettias. It works for any plant. Works for any flower you're trying to create. Daisies, sunflowers, any of those flowers you're trying to create. I know we are doing pine branch needles. Are you going to do a pine cone? Yes! I'm going to do a pine cone. I got you, Tina B. Hey, April, you're going to be back. You want to do this? Okay, sounds good. And, yes, Tina B, I'm going to do a pine cone. And no, Tina B, I did not mail your painting yet. It's sitting right over there. It's waiting. It's waiting. I didn't mail it out yet, though. Okay. Hey, Cheryl. Hello, 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 sweetheart. How you doing, sweetie? Well, that's good. Okay, so there's my 2 poinsettias, right? And then, like what I said everything in threes, right? So I'm going to turn around and do a small one, right? Center point, do your hands of a clock, doot, 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 right? However many, so I looked it up. I actually looked it up. I looked something up, guys. Poinsettias don't have, the red parts on a poinsettia actually isn't the flower. It isn't the flower. They called it something fancy. It started with a B. I forgot what that word was, but it's basically the leaves turning colors. Hey, W Mac's on. Yes, there's W Mac. How you been, love? Haven't heard from you in a minute, right? Haven't heard from you in a minute, right? And I'm gonna throw another one over here. All right, and I'm gonna throw another one down here. There we go. All right, so there's my 3. All right, now the next thing I want to do is I want to turn around and I'm going to have pine. So I want to put where that's going to go. Good work is crazy, right? Everyone's so busy. So I know I'm going to have a branch coming out this way, and I'm going to have a branch behind these poinsettias. And we're going to put a branch here, okay? So you just draw your lines in. I'm going to have a branch coming out the top, and this branch is going to have pieces coming off of it. All right, so what do I have so far? 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So let's do 5, right? Because what did I say about odds? So let's do another piece coming out, shoot, right there. All right, so now, if you notice, when I put this together, the spacing, right? Okay, guys? So that is part of creating a composition. You have red and green, yellow. One, Home Depot had them for $2. Oh, wow, that's really good. All right, so notice my spacing, right? I didn't bunch them all over here. I didn't put 3 poinsettias over here and bunched it all together. I spaced it out, right, to give enough, I didn't do all my pine needles over here in one group. Look, there's spacing in between because I want this whole thing to be filled. So that's another part that you have to remember is the spacing. Okay, so Tina B mentioned W Max in the house. I gotta write your name down, sweetie. Tina B mentioned pine cones. So I'm gonna put some pine cones in here. All right, so I'm just gonna take that white paint again. I'm gonna take that white paint and I'm gonna create where I want some pine cones. So I'm gonna put a pine cone right here. So I am just doing my pine cone shape. I'm just doing little arched, right? So there's going to be a pine cone right there. And let's do a pine cone over here. Okay, and it can go right off the canvas. It's fine. And let's do a pine cone. Let's do a pine cone sitting on the table. Okay, there's my pine cones. Okay. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, guys. You guys got this. So at home, I hope you're making your own composition up. And we want holly, right? Holly in the house. Oh, yeah. So some holly with some berries, right? Well, I put this sitting on the table. So why don't I put my holly sitting on the table? So for my holly, I'm just going to turn around and I'm just going to, right? Threes. So I'm going to put these little lines of 3, and that's going to be my holly, and there's going to be some berries, some berries on here. So let's just put in where the berries are going to go. Okay, and we need some holly. Let's put good old Holly over. Anybody know somebody named Holly? I always thought that was the coolest name. So let's put 1, 2, 3. We're going to put some holly over there. And yeah, so you just have to make, I did a whole how-to on perspective. So you have to there's a whole bunch of thing about perspective. So basically, you know, you just want to pick your point of where you want everybody to see. Now this basically makes your eye dance across the table. I don't have a focal point except maybe where the planter is. But when we're done with this mess that I'm making, it's going to have a, it's basically going to make your eye dance. If you notice, I'm spacing everything out. So your eye is going to be dancing around the canvas. Okay, so we need another holly. Let's put her here. All right, 1, 2, 3. Bam, bam, bam. All right, now I'll give you guys a chance to catch up mustard and make your own composition. Hello. We discovered a new word tonight. Oh, yeah. You spell it Holley, and her birthday is the day after Christmas. Oh, my goodness. Does she get gypped? Does she get gypped out of presents, Tina B? Because, you know, if somebody is after Christmas or around Christmas, lots of times they get gypped of what presents, of their presents. I always thought it was a really pretty name, Holly. I got paint on myself. Oh, so on these lips of mine, it's actually an ink, and I think I stained my hands more than my lips. Just a little tidbit of info. It's Java time, guys. Ketchup, mustard. And my coffee got cold because I was working so hard on my composition. Right? So there's many parts of composition. And basically all you're doing is putting your pieces together to make a whole. All right? You're composing. All right? That's what you're doing. Okay, guys? So you got this. No worries. So, both my Tinas are here. Tina M and Tina B. Janice is in the house. April's hanging out with us. Diane, Cheryl, and W Mac. Oh, yeah. And there's some creepers out there. I know there's some people. They're watching, but they're not saying hello. So, and of course we got watchers in the house. Tina B, you must be watching tonight. Look, my yellow is like just traveling all over my palette here. It's just traveling. Okay, so I am going to switch to a fluffy. All right, I got a large fluffy in the house. All right, so I'm going to swirl, tap, dab, fluffy, and I'm going to mash and mash and mash them. All right. You're learning. Tina B's in the house. I'm going to start using my... I actually got to talk to Tina B on the phone the other day, and I heard her accent. It was amazing. Thank you so much for that phone call, love. So I'm going to fluff these out. That's why it's called a fluffy. And so she has the southern twang going on. All right, and I'm going to take some yellow, some blue, and a little smidge of white. And notice I keep it all separate. I'm going to do a little tap tap, but leaving it basically all separate colors on my brush. And I'm going to come in and I'm just going to fill in. I'm going to fill in my background, right? Because all of these pieces need to be sitting on something. So I am just blue, yellow, and a smidge of white, guys. It's all I'm doing. It's all I'm doing. And stick and move. Stick and move so you keep that separation. If you keep going over it, you're going to wind up blending it all together, and you won't have that separation of color. Remember when I did the foliage, right? Remember when I did the foliage and we kept it moving? We kept it moving because I wanted the separation of color, right? So you want to make sure that you keep it moving. Because if you don't keep it moving and you keep going over the same spot, you're not going to get that separation of color, right? And if you, all right, so I'm just filling in some green because the plants have to be sitting on something. They have to be sitting on something. And I'm getting this different colors here. Glad to be here tonight. Missed the past couple weeks. Jackie's back. Hi, Jackie. Oh, Carol's just here. She's here. You were being a creeper, Carol. Everybody welcome Carol. Hi, Carol. Hello, hello, hello. Jackie's in the house. Hi, Jackie. How you doing, sweetheart? Well, Carol, you're not being a creeper anymore. Alright, so I'm getting the separation of color because I'm just plunking my brush into the colors. I'm not turning around and I'm not over mixing them. I'm just grabbing the different colors and then going with it. And now I'm going to grab like just the blue. I'm going to grab just the blue and pop in some darker ones here. Okay, since they're under my pine cone, and I'm grabbing just blue. And I'm going to come in here and grab and pop in some darker ones. Notice I'm tapping and moving. I'm not tapping over it again. Grab just the blue, and I'm going to come in here and add some darker ones. Okay, so tapping and moving, that's it. Just the blue. Come in here and add some dark. I'm going to smush my brush to get some of that lighter out of it as I work my way down. Okay, so there we go. We need some green over here because I have a floating pine cone. Can't have a floating pine cone. So basically I am just anchoring everything down so it's not floating in space. All right. Hi, Vanessa. Hello, hello, hello. Yes, so you see the blue now? Here you go, sweetheart. Everybody give Vanessa a warm welcome. See that? So I grabbed just the blue and popped a few blue ones in there to give it a little more depth. There's another trick word for you guys. Depth. basically, giving something depth just makes it look fuller. You're doing well, Jackie. Let's see what Jackie has to say to me. Spent Thanksgiving in Utah with family, and you haven't seen him since a couple years ago. Oh, my goodness. You're welcome, Vanessa. That sounds amazing, Jackie. Oh, that's awesome to be able to spend that time with your family. All right, so now we're into layer 1. So I'm going to swirl tap Dad Big Boy, and I'm going to do layer 1 on all of these pieces. Okay, we're going to do layer 1. That's what we're going to do. So for the smushing, I used my brushes that I call the fluffies. Right? They're basically stiff bristled brushes that you beat up, and it winds up getting fluffy. They're part of my brush sets. If anybody wants to use the exact brushes I'm using, I use the same brushes for every single video. Over the past year and a half, hasn't changed a bit. So that's what I use for my fluffing. All right, so I'm going to swirl tap Dad Big Boy. He is a 1-inch flat. And I'm going to put in my base colors. So I am going to grab white. And I am going to grab red, right? Red doesn't show up without its friend white. Okay, and we're going to put in our poinsettia layer 1. Okay, and is green mixing in there? Absolutely. Do I care? No. Do I care? Not in the least. Okay, so we got to put in white and red on all of my poinsettia leaves. These are leaves. Yes, they are. I just learned that today. I thought it was the flower, but it's not. It's the leaves. Okay, so I am not worrying about shading. I am not worried about anything. Yes, is green mixing in? Absolutely. Do I care? Absolutely not. I am just putting in layer 1 of the leaves. That's all I'm doing. Right, I just grabbed red and white. It picked up some of the green. It's actually fine. That'll actually add to my shading later on. So we're totally cool with it. Not really worrying about it at all. I'm just putting this in here. Okay, so next one, right? And I want to do this. And you kind of want to do this while your background is still wet, because then this way you don't get a hard line underneath that you can't seem to cover up, because, you know, acrylic paint, especially the red, is see-through. So if you turn around and you know, if this smushy stuff dries, you'll get like a hard line of where you overlapped, and that's going to be hard to get rid of. You have to do like a ton of coat of white to get rid of that. So you don't want to turn around doing it while the smushy is still wet and having it mix into your flower petal. Is totally okay, because it's actually going to get rid of that hard line that you had. Right? It's going to get rid of that. It's going to become part of your petal. And this way you don't have to worry about it. And it's actually going to help with your shading. It's going to help with the shading of stuff. All right? So, you got to feed the kids, April? All right, go feed your kids. Go feed the kids. I guess that takes priority. I don't know. The debate's still out, though. Alright, so red and white, everybody. Red and white. That's all I'm doing. Poinsettias in the house. Right? Poinsettias with pointy leaves. There we go. Poinsettias with pointy leaves. And see, this is what I was talking about. See that underneath there? That hard edge? I call it a hard edge because it's not blending out of the green. that's going to be hard to cover. So doing the, see how the rest of the green, like this one, it blended in. It's not a hard edge anymore. It's all soft. So that's not as hard to cover up because it's all soft. So you're not going to focus on it. But a hard edge like that is going to be difficult. So I have to turn around and I'm going to wipe off my brush and I'm going to throw just white on top of that. Now my white's very dirty, but I got to throw just white over the top of this to cover that hard edge. Okay, so you don't have it coming through your flower. All right, so that's how you get rid of those. You got to cover them with white, guys. Got to cover them with white, loves. That's how that works. Okay, so I'm going to swirl tap that my brush. And I'm going to turn around and do my first coat of green. All right, so I had that pile of green from before, so I'm just going to add to it. I'm going to grab my yellow. Okay, and we're going to grab the blue. And we're going to grab some white. Right, and I'm going to smush, smush, smush it on my palette here. Okay, and it's looking a little turquoisey. I want it more green, like a hunter green, so I'm going to grab more yellow. And I'm going to grab more blue. Alright, that's closer to what I want. Alright, so I'm going to wipe off my brush. Wiping off the brush. And I'm going to do where I put the pine. Alright, so let's see, one was here. Right? Oh, can't see that. It'd be nice if I had the camera where I was painting. Alright, so I'm going to draw a line. And I'm just going to do flicks. Little flicks with my brush. That's it. Okay, little flicks with the brush. And I'm going to add another one here. He needs a friend. Yes, I just did a Bob Ross. I totally did a Bob Ross. That's okay. So I'm just doing flicks with my brush. Here, you'll be able to, so we're going to come over here. Wait, that was holly, right? So this was pine. Not going to be able to see that. All right, so we'll just put a line there. And I'm going to grab just blue. Because this little piece of pine hanging out in here, it's going to be hard to see. All right, so we're going to give it a very dark background. And up here now, we had this one. All right, did I stay on my white line? No. Do I care? No. All right, let me lift this up so you can see what I'm doing. All right, did I stay on my white line? No, I didn't. But it doesn't matter. All right, and I'm just doing flicks. Just flicks like that. That's all I'm doing. All right, that's all I'm doing. Just flicks. That's all we're doing. Do, 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 do. Da, 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 da. So, I got Friday's painting almost done. You guys can thank Tina B for the idea. I'll show you in a minute as soon as I'm done doing my flicks. Right, and we're going to take this behind that petal. See that? Just like that, we have it going behind the petal. Bringing it up, and I'm just doing flicks with my brush. That's it. Just doing flicks with the brush. That's all I'm doing. Alright, just little flicks. So, I got to show you that in a minute. Alright, I'm not worrying about which one's on top, which one's on the bottom. I'm not doing shading. I'm just making a dark green. Right? So, I have the base down. And I want it to be darker than what I'm doing. So, whenever you guys... Thanks, Jackie. Whenever you guys are doing your base color, I like to call it basically the first color of anything, you always want it to be darker. You want it to be the darker color of the whole thing. Okay? So you're going for the darker color. Alright, so I'm losing what I made. So that was holly, this was holly, that was holly. Alright, so I need pine here, right? Earthquake! Alright, so, and we're just doing flicks outwards. Just flicks, guys. That's all you're doing. I'm not really worried about it. I just want to get the color on there and the basic shape and whatever texture it's supposed to be. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Yep. All right, so, and I'm going to give this one, nah, we'll leave it alone. I was going to give it a friend, but I decided to leave it alone because there's a lot going on. And I'm going to grab just blue. I'm going to grab just blue and make this one darker. So when you make something darker, that puts it all the way in the back. All right, see this one's lighter? Doesn't it seem like it's closer to you than the darker one? So when you make something darker, it puts it all the way in the background. In the middle below the pine cone. In the middle below. Oh, I had one here? Thanks. I totally would have missed that one, Tina. You're awesome. All right, I'm going to make this one really dark because he's under a lot of stuff too. All right, I would have totally missed that one. Thank you, Tina. And let's give him a friend. Let's give him a friend. Why not? Let's give him a friend. There we go. There we go. All right, good looks, Tina. Good looks. Appreciate that. All right, so I'm going to wipe off my brush because there's a lot of paint on it. And I'm going to put it in my cup. All right, so sometimes you want to wipe your brush off before you go put it in your water. To get all that excess paint off of it first. So if you guys notice, the ones that are darker look further back. And that's another way to add depth. Okay, guys? And now there's lots of different textures going on, which is really cool, right? Because the smushing added one type of texture. And then the flicking added another type. And then we have the smoothness of the leaves. Okay, so now you have texture as part of your composition. Guys, get it? You getting it so far? Right? So, I'm going to put this back down. It creates a shadow, I know, but I'm going to put this back down. So, let you guys catch up mustard a little bit. If you have any questions, 6,000% ask me. Always free to watch. Tips are appreciated, so I will post those links again. Nope, can't post those links again. Oh, there it is. I got it. I'm so bad at hitting buttons. It's absolutely awful. Buttons and me do not cooperate. That is 6,000% for sure. All right, so while you guys are ketchup mustering, it's not completely done. So here is Friday's Nutcracker Sweet, guys. Nutcracker Sweet, okay? So we have a really fun Nutcracker dude, and you guys are going to learn about shading with the ribbons of the shoes, okay? So again, threes. 1, 2, 3. 3 pieces to this. Hey, Lisa V. Ah, you're watching a movie and lost track of time. That's okay. Hello, love. You're here now. You're here now. All right. We got Carol in the house. She's not creeping anymore. Tina M is here. Tina B, Janice, April, and Diane, and Cheryl, and W Mac, and Jackie, Vanessa, and now Lisa V rounding out the crew. Oh, yeah, 6,000%. That's what I'm talking about. And the reason I'm not worrying about the background drawing now is because the pine cones and the holly leaves are going to be the same or a darker color. I had to stress it with my poinsettia leaves because they were a lighter color. Hey, Cynthia. Kelly forgot. Cynthia's here. Hello, Cynthia. I always mix you and Cheryl up. So, Cynthia, sometimes I was talking to you and I wanted to talk to Cheryl, and sometimes, Cheryl, I'm talking to you and I wanted to talk to Cynthia. So, if I'm ever saying anything to you guys and you don't know what I'm talking about, it's because I was talking to the other person. I do do it all the time. Hi, Kelly. Kelly's here. Hello, 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 Kelly. It's your anniversary. Where you going, Kelly? Happy anniversary. Happy anniversary. Happy anniversary. Happy anniversary. Not really sure how to end that song, so now you guys know why I paint, because I cannot sing. Singing is definitely not for me. All right, I got to make a brown, right? Pine cones are brown. I got to make a brown. Nice, you're going out to eat somewhere? That's cool. All right, so I'm going to swirl tap that big boy. I don't have to worry about getting them that clean. And I need to make brown. So I'm going to grab yellow and red. Because my yellow was traveling into there anyway. So I'm going to grab yellow and red. And I'm going to grab a smidge of this blue over here. And I'm going to grab this very dirty white. Extremely dirty white. And I'm going to mix that all together. All right, I'm going to mix that all together. And let's see. It's kind of a taupey brown color. Now I want this to be dark, so I'm going to grab black. But I'm going to go over here. Right? Because I don't want to turn around and get rid of that lighter brown color that I made. So I'm going to go over here with the black. And I'm going to grab that white that's extremely dirty. I'm going to grab that blue that's extremely dirty. I'm going to grab my yellow that's extremely dirty. And I'm going to grab my red that's extremely dirty. Okay, and I'll mix that all up. And there we go. We got a dark brown color. It's actually more like gray. I need to add, hold on guys. I need to add red. So I need to add some red to that. Alright, I need to add some yellow to that. So if it's coming out gray, just add more red and yellow. Okay, that's about where I'm going to stop. You're going out to eat somewhere, you don't know where, it's a surprise, that's cool. So, pine cones. I'm going to hold my brush here. I'm going to go to where I want my edge, and I'm going to do an arch. Okay, you want to do an arch. And brown, you can't keep playing with. It'll actually lift up off the canvas. And now I'm just going to grab a smidge of black on my brush. Okay, and I'm going to get stripes in here. So, and you can't keep playing with it. Because I want this to be darker. Because if you keep playing with your browns, you're going to wind up, they're going to lift off of the canvas. So, and another pine cone was here. Right? So I'm just doing an arch. All I'm doing. Right? I'm going to grab a smidge of black. Smidge, like a smidge. See that? Smidge. Just a smidge. And I'm going to have him come out on the other side of my petal. And I'm also going to turn around, take my finger, and make that where it's on my petal, soften that out. See that one dried already? I'm going to have to cover that with white. I created another hard line there. That's what happens. And the other pine cone was over here, right? So I am just doing an arch. All I'm doing. Okay. Now we have our holly leaves. So I am going to switch to wipe my brush off because I got a lot of paint on it. And I'm going to switch to a smaller brush so I can get the shape of the holly leaves. 6,000%. Moving right along, guys. You guys got this. No worries. So we learned all sorts of words today. We had composition, focal point. Now, there is no focal point, which is what I want, because I want everybody's eyes to dance. There's a few, like the flowers are going to be bam, the first thing you see. And then your eye is going to dance to all the other things on the canvas. So, unlike, let's see, unlike this painting, remember when we did these guys? You go right to the sneakers, okay? This one, your eyes dance. See the difference? See the difference? So there's other things going on in this painting, but I go right to the sneakers. This painting, your eyes go to the flowers, but it bounces, all right? So that's what I mean about focal points. You don't necessarily have to have one. You guys remember doing the sneakers? Alright, so now we're doing the holly. So I'm going to switch to, this is a 1/2 inch flat, okay? I'm going to switch to that. Alright, and I'm going to go back to my dark green. And I'm going to do a close-up. I know that's really scary, but I love doing that. So I'm going to go back to my green. Alright, grabbing my dark green over here. And we're going to do a holly leaf. So a holly leaf has points on it. So you want to do like these arches. So I start here and I do an arch out. And I do an arch out this way. Okay? And then you're going to come to a point. So I do my point. Alright? And then it's just loops in between. So you just do these little loops in between that come to a point. Okay? That's all you're doing. That's all there is to a holly leaf. That's it. And I'm going to fill it in. Okay, so that's all there is to a holly leaf. Now, I'm going to add a little bit of white so you can see that better. Because you can't see that right now. So I'm adding a little bit of white just so you guys can see this better. Okay, so there you go. And if you notice, when I made this, I just turned my brush. I did the show me the money trick. Okay, so this is a good practice to learn how to twist your brush. Right? So, now I need to do all the other holly leaves. I'm actually going to grab some black with that green. And this one, it doesn't matter. It's going right off of the canvas. So I'm just going to fill that in. And I'm grabbing black with my green. Right, if it's going right off the canvas, you don't have to worry about it. So I'm just filling it in, getting like one point on there. But notice how it looks like this one's behind, this one's a little front, and that one's more in front, right? Just by making one really dark, one in the middle, and then one really light, you added the layers. Okay, so we have these over here. Alright, so I'm going to turn around and grab my black with the green. And again, do your flip out on the beginning, and then you can do your arrow up here, and then you see where to join. Okay, I didn't have room to do a bunch of loops, so I just did one. That's it. Just did one loop. That was it. Okay, and I'm using my flat edge to be able to get these points. All right, now I'm going to grab just the green now. Do my piece here. Do my piece here. And just one loop. All right, just one loop is happening there. Okay, piece there, one piece there, and then the loop in the middle. Do, 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 do. Da, 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 da. All right, and I'm going to grab a little bit of white with this one so you can see better, but he's also going to be the leaf that's on top. So piece there, piece there. Piece here, the piece here. And one loop in the middle. So that is how you do your holly leaves. Okay, and if you have to fix any part of your shape, go for it. You notice I'm schmoozing right now. I'm kind of fixing my shape a little bit. That's fine. Okay, that is fine. 6,000%. You can do that, and you notice this one's darker, a little lighter, and the lightest one, this one looks like he's all the way in the back. See that? Just by changing your colors, you create the ones being lighter and the ones being darker. I think the other one was all the way up here. Is that it, Tina B? Did I just have the 3 clusters? You tell me. Let me know. All right, so I'm going to grab a little bit of black. All right, I'm going to do this one. And then the piece on top. And then one loop in the center. And you notice I'm holding this like a pencil. I'm just drawing with it. That's all I'm doing. And I'm just turning the brush to use that flat to get my points. Okay, so I'm just using that flat of the brush to get those points in there. And I'm working this like it's a pencil. That's all I'm doing. And you can always go back in with a detail brush to get some like shwoof, really cutting points. All right, so there's my darker leaf. Now I'm going to go just into my green. Right? Let me add a little white to that so you guys can see what I'm doing. And am I covering all that work I just did? 6,000%. Do I care? Nope. All right, so there is the other leaf, okay? So, all you got to do, holly leaves are pretty simple. They can get a little weird looking. You have to play with them a bit to get them to be exactly the way you want. But I'm going to wipe my brush off because there's globs on it. And if you have globs on your brush, you're going to get globs on your painting. So I'm going to grab more white this time with my green and do my leaf that's on the top of all 3 and fill it in. Okay, 6,000%. Now, you see me schmoozing, you see me playing. So, if you have to schmooze and play, you're not doing anything wrong. Okay? You know, if you have to play with it to get your shape better, 6,000%, you have to play with it. It doesn't mean you messed up. Doesn't mean you messed up. You're just making it better. That's it. All right. Now, I need a little schmooze because I almost put my brush in my coffee. See, there's this space right here. I'm not liking it. So I'm going to grab my fluffy brush again. I'll grab my fluffy brush again. Swirl tap dab my fluffy brush. Right, and I'm going to add, I'm going to grab my green with a little bit, a smidge of white. And I'm going to put some fluff in here because these guys are these hollies are kind of floating. Soften this. I'm going to soften those. Right? And I'm going to grab just a smidge of blue. Okay? And I'll put some fluffy in there because they were kind of floating in the middle of nowhere. And since this fluff's all the way up here, I'm going to add fluff here. So, just because you painted something beforehand doesn't mean that you can't add to it later on if you notice that you need a little something something. Alright? Doesn't mean that you can't turn around later on and add to it. It's quite alright. I'm just going to soften these so I don't wind up with those hard lines. Remember those hard lines I talked about? Alright, so you can soften them. Alright, so back to the poinsettias. So now we're going to be adding schmooze away. That's right, schmoozing. Being very technical. Okay, so before I add my last layer, my planter is kind of lost. And I want to put it back in. So, now, you can turn, the more layers you do, the more realistic something's going to look. Oh, my coffee got cold. Alright, so, we did 2 layers so far. And we're going to do a third. And then I'm going to go back probably after this video and do the 4th. May the 4th be with you. So, but with this 3rd layer, I'm going to show you all the basics on adding the finishing touches to these. Okay? And then you guys at home can schmooze all you want to, just like me. Alright, so I'm going to grab Mini-Me because my planner kind of disappeared and I want to put it back. Alright, and I'm going to grab, I'm going to make it gray, like a gray wood. So I'm going to grab white, and I'm going to grab black, and I'm going to come in here with my smaller brush, again, holding it like my blender fingers. Woo! You haven't painted until you get paint on yourself. Once you start getting paint on yourself, you've graduated to being a real artist. So I'm going to come in here, right, and I'm lightly putting this in. Okay, there's a little piece of it right here. Okay, and I'm putting my planter back in. Alright, and I'm just kind of going in between what I painted on here already, and I want to grab more black. Okay, and grab some more black, and I'm very lightly touching. And I'm just doing zigzag zoom. I'm just going back and forth. And if you notice, did you see how I kind of had that white on the other side of my brush? Notice how I just flipped my brush over? So I'm just grabbing black and white. I'm not mixing them together. I'm letting it mix on my canvas, and I'm just flipping my brush back and forth to have that add, and I'm literally just letting the colors happen. And then if I want to make something darker, I'm grabbing more black, because under here I want it to be a little darker, right? So I just grabbed more black. That's it. And you want to use tiny amounts, microscopic amounts of paint, guys, especially with the black. Okay, small amounts, and I'm just zigzag zooming. That's all I'm doing. I'm going to grab a tad more black for underneath this leaf here and here. And I have a lot of black on my brush, so I'm going to wipe it off. But this is going to be really dark in here. Okay, and now we need the planter on this side. So again, white and black. Look, I put white on one side and black on the other. Okay, and I'm going to put my line back in. Right, and I'm just going to do a little zigzag zoom around the smushing that I did before. So I'm just kind of wiggling my brush around. I'll flip it over now. Okay, and just wiggling the brush around. That's all I'm doing. Black on one side, white on the other. Come in here. I'm going to make sure this lines up. So my bottom, I'm going to make sure lines up. So I'm going to go across here. Shoop, shoop. I'm not going to move my hand any. I'm just going to slide it across. And then have my bottoms line up. See that? I just slid my hand across. I didn't move the brush. I moved my hand. That's the difference. Now I'm going to grab my black. Small amounts of black. And I'm going to come under here. Make that darker. Just doing a little zigzag zoom smushing action. That's all I'm doing. Right? And I'm going to come under here. And make this darker. Right, because there's one under there. I'm going to make it a little darker in this corner here. I'm going to wipe my brush off because there's a lot of black on it. And then I'm going to show you how I'm doing this, all right? So the paint's wet, and I'm going to turn around where these lines are, and I'm just going to smush back and forth to blend it out. Okay? That's all I'm doing. I'm just doing a little smush. That's it. I'm going to grab a little bit more black, and it goes under here. Okay, so I'm just doing a little smush action. And I'm grabbing more black as I take my hand away, and I build it up. I don't just try to make it super dark right away, because then it might come out too dark, and you're going to be having issues. So you don't want to do that. You do not want to do that. Now I'm going to grab my white. And I'm going to turn around and put that straight edge back in. Okay, wipe my brush off and see where that's this and this. So I'm just going to go where those two pieces are. And I'm just going to smush back and forth. That's it. See, guys? And that's how you blend that together. That's how you do those blendings. All right, guys? That's how you do that. And I'm going to go and take my white. And I'm going to come under here, swoop, swoop, right? And over here, there, okay? Wipe my brush off. And then I'm just going to do a little smushing. And as long as your paint's still wet, you'll be able to do this. And there is my planter. Okay. Ta-da! Planter's in. Yay! Ta-da, ta-da! All right. So, back to third layer. So, let's do our poinsettias. I'm going to swirl, tap, dab. Big boy. Oh, I got to get my coffee out of the microwave. Hold on. Priorities, guys. Priorities, fam. That's what I'm talking about. Let's do a little roll call. Give you guys a chance to catch up with that planner. Carol's in the house. Tina M, Tina B, Janice is here. We got April and Diane and Cheryl and W Mac and Jackie and Vanessa and Lisa V and Cynthia and Kelly. And thank you guys so much. There's so many of you that are popping on tonight. I haven't heard from in a long time. So thank you so much for that. It's good to hear from everybody. I'm glad everybody's doing well. A lot of us are probably really busy because it is the holidays. Oh, speaking of which, So, obviously Christmas falls on a Friday, Christmas Eve. So, Christmas Eve, I'm not going to be doing a paint party. But, I'm going to do a painting, not a practice. I'm going to do a painting on Tuesday. And I'm going to do giveaways. Yes. So, tell all your friends, tell all your peeps, tell everybody. Okay, so Tuesday, Tuesday the 21st is going to be a painting with prizes. Yeah, so I'm grabbing my white and I'm grabbing my red. All right, doing just a little tap tap, but still keeping it separated on my brush. And I'm going to go in and do all my petals again. So now I want to turn around and pick who the winner is going to be. And what I mean by that is I want to pick which petals, they're not petals, they're actually leaves. Which petals are on the bottom, which petals are on the top. So I'm going to bring you in close to the one flower I'm working on. Close up. All right, first of all, I have background coming in here. So I want to hit that. I want to hit that first. Now, see how I'm holding my brush nice and close, and my brush is nice and flat and thin because I wiped it on my palette, and I'm putting in my lines, okay? So, this petal, or leaf, or whatever you want to call it, is going to be on top because I have to add a lot of white to them anyway to cover that background. So, I'm going to turn around and just grab my white paint and I'm just lightly brushing it in. If you notice, I'm not doing a solid line. I'm just very softly putting that in, okay? So now that I have this lighter color, I'm going to turn around and this leaf is going to be under that, but over that. So I'm going to put the lighter color, swoop, right on the top there. And then we'll bring it in. We'll bring it in, okay? And I want to turn around and grab some red now. Okay, I'm going to grab some red and I'm just tapping and pushing. Okay? Tapping and pushing. Alright, you don't have to make these all solid and soft. You can have the different colors playing. You can have that. Alright, I'm going to wipe my hand over this. Okay, and this leaf is going to be over that one and under that one. So let's put this leaf in. Okay, and it's up to you. Like if you want to do your petals later, you can do your petals later because I'm going to be adding to this pine cone and stuff. So, but I want to make sure that I get this layer. I'm making these lighter than they're going to be because I got to cover up any of that background going on. Alright, so. Right, and this guy is under everybody. So I'll just cut him in. And then this guy is over this one. Okay, so notice I'm planning who's on top and who's on the bottom as I'm doing this when I'm cutting in my lines. All right, and then this guy is going to be over him. And I'm going to make him over him too. All right, so notice I'm planning what leaves are on top and what leaves are on the bottom as I'm cutting these in. Alright, and so when we do our fourth layer with the shading, I'll know where to put my shading. And if you notice, I'm kind of doing a little bit of shading now, but nothing really serious. Okay, I am just making sure I know which ones are on top and which ones are on the bottom. Alright, and then this guy, he's underneath both of them. Notice how my flower's getting bigger because I'm playing with it. Alright, so you just want to turn around and mark who's on top. Right? Sounds like Three Stooges, right? Who's on top? Who's on top and who's on the bottom. Right? Just figure that out for yourself. Okay? And we're going to do the rest of the flowers that way. All right? And we're also going to add extra white if there's background that we have to cover up. Okay, so let's do this one. Da, 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 da. Cruising right along. All right, so we got this guy. He's underneath everybody. So we're going to fill him in. Okay, and then I'm going to grab some white. And this guy's over everybody. So grabbing some white. All right, notice I'm kind of putting my centers in too. I have to go over this one with some white because the background was still showing through. All right, so I'm going to grab some white. And this guy is over that one. Okay, and grab some more white. This guy is over that one, but under this one. And you can figure out how you want to do your over and under with your leaves all you want. It doesn't really matter what you pick, okay? You can pick whatever you want. All right, so this one is going to be under everybody, so I just grab more red to make them a little darker. And I'm going to grab some white because this guy is over everybody. Okay, so you guys can turn around and pick whatever leaves you want. Even notice I'm bringing them to a point in the middle too. I'm designating my center better. Okay, with them. All right, last one. All right, so I have a lot of background. Coming through. See that? See? So when I added that extra foliage, earthquake. So I got to cover that with white. All right, so we're going to definitely do a whole lot of white. A whole lot of white going on over here. A whole lot of white. Make sure I'm covering that up. How much white? A whole lot of white. Oh, that's almost as fun as I like it a lot. Alright, so we're going in here and adding how much white? A whole lot of white. Alright, so I'm cutting all my edges in and I'm just smooshing the white into my flower here. Okay. Alright, this guy is completely needs a heck of a lot of white right there. And white right here. Okay, so definitely putting the white in. Alright, and this leaf is over that one. And this leaf is over this one. So I'm just grabbing white paint. And then this leaf is over that one. And I'm just kind of tapping it in. That's all I'm doing. And this guy is over this one. And this leaf is over that one. Okay. He's like the big guy on top. Alright. So, after that's said and done, okay, now, I'm going to show you, now I got to grab my smaller brush, so I'm going to grab Mini Me. And we're going to do the details on the other pieces, and then I'm going to show you the one finished flower. I'm not going to do all of these in the time we're on the video, because you guys are going to start dropping off. Which is okay. So I want to grab white paint and I'm going to do my holly berries. Right? So I'm going to do my little scribble circles here to put my holly berries in. Okay, guys? So you have to put in your holly berries wherever they're going if you're going to add holly berries. And now these berries are hiding under my leaf. So we'll put those in there. All right. And let's see, and the third holly's all the way up there. So I'm going to put my holly berries in here. Okay, so you got to mark off with white paint where your holly berries are going to be. All right, now I'm going to wipe off this brush and I'll show you how to finish the pine. All right, so we'll do this one down here. Okay, because he wound up with the container on it anyway. So I'm going to grab my dark green now, just the green, and I'm going to swoop this back in. So it's green and white. There's white on my brush from doing the berries. Okay, so I'm going to smush this back in. And notice I'm just doing flicks again. It's just with the smaller brush. And I didn't mix the white and green. It's on my brush. Again, just grabbing white and grabbing green. I'm letting the brush do all the work for me to make all these cool things show up. Okay, so now I'm going to grab just green now and do this guy over here. All right, so now, should you do your stuff that's behind your flowers first? Yes. Did I do it backwards? Yes. Does it matter really? No, but again, these flower edges might give you trouble because you might get it on there and you have to soften it. So, should you do all the background stuff first? Yes. So, I'm grabbing just white paint now. And I'm going to turn around and lightly, here, there, not everywhere, put in some lighter pieces. Okay, here, there, not everywhere. Right, now I'm going to grab just my green and put some of those in. Here, there, not everywhere. All right, just the green, and I'm lightly doing this so it doesn't wind up, very light touch, so it doesn't wind up blending all together. Okay, and the other one, I'm going to grab blue, and I'm going to put some blue pieces in, because he is underneath everything. And then I'm going to wipe my brush off and grab my green again, and then throw the green on top. Now I'm going to wipe off my brush, and I'm going to grab yellow. Very lightly, because you'll lose the yellow because the paint is wet. I'm going to put yellow in this one, okay, because he's in the back, so it's dark. Alright, so that is how you would finish off your pine needles. And you could turn around and if you guys want to make, if I grab Mr. Nifty, if you want to do the other types of pine needles, right, you just grab Mr. Nifty, and I'm going to grab my green paint, and you can turn around and make those like pine needles that are just like the sticks. Okay, so let me grab some black so you can see that. And basically, it's just little sticks. That's all they are. Alright, and I'm doing them in black so you can see what I'm doing. So you can turn around and just do those pine needles that are just like the little twigs. And they're just little sticks. That's all that those are. They're just green. I'm doing them in black so you can see what I'm doing. And see how this is not cooperating? See how that broke all apart like that? That's because my paint's too goopy. Alright, I have to add some water to my paint. Alright, so if you're ever trying to do a line or something along those lines and it's separating, it's because your paint's too thick. Okay, so and just add a little bit of water, or if you got one of those extenders like April was sharing, you could turn around and do those. Okay, you can also turn around with Mr. Nifty and add more details to this. Okay, so if I grab my green with my yellow, with Mr. Nifty, I could come in here and I can add more to this. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see that over the video. See those little things right in there? So you can do that too. It depends on how, you know, how much you want to get into this. I can grab my green paint with Mr. Nifty, and I could really do, some really sharp points coming off of this guy. Right? So you can do that. Alright, so it's all up to you. It's all up to how much detail you want to add to them. Okay, and let's see. Alright, so now let's do our holly. I'll show you how to finish off the holly. And then I'll finish off the pine cone, and then I'll finish off the poinsettia. And then I'm going to finish this painting at a later time. So, the holly... Oh, in the center here, if you want to add the stem, you can too. So I'm just going to take my flat brush and I'm going to dab. I'm not going to make it a solid straight line. You can dab, you can put in your centers to the pine needles. Okay, and I didn't make it a solid straight line. I did like a little dab so it looks more natural. Okay, now I'm gonna take Mini-Me with my holly leaves, right? So I'm gonna grab just my green now on this dark one. Okay, we don't have to worry about this one too much. So I am just fluffing in. I'm gonna wipe off my brush. I'm just putting in another coat of the green, but we're not going to worry about this one too much because he's under everything. And again, that zigzaggy back and forth to blend it through. And I'm going to take Mr. Nifty. And I'm going to add water to my black so it cooperates. So Mr. Nifty's a small detail brush. That's all he is. And I'm going to come in here and put in my lines for the leaf. Okay, and now we got to do the other one. So I'm going to grab Mini-Me again, and I'm going to grab my green and add some yellow to it. Again, all separate on my brush. I'm coming here and sweep this in. Alright, get my edges. Now, if you want to use your tiny brush and put some, like, cut your skin sharp edges on these guys, go for it. Right? And I'm just kind of filling this in, just smushing it around. And I'm going to turn around and put a little highlight piece on here. So I'm going to grab my white, microscopic amount of white paint. And I'm going to come in here. And I'm just going to do a little zigzag action. Just a little zigzag action with that microscopic amount of white paint. And highlight that out. Okay, and Mr. Nifty, whoop, which I dropped. Oh, I'm at the point now that if I drop something, I ask myself, is it really worth it to pick it up? Okay, and we'll put the stem in. And, right, make sure you have the pieces going to where it's looping out. And there you go. Now we need the holly leaf that's on top of all three of those. Those two, right? So, Mini-Me, green paint. Right? So I'm going to grab Mini-Me and the green paint, and I'm going to add some white to it. That was a whole lot of white. That was way too much white. But that's okay. All right, and since I have too much white on here, I'm going to wipe my brush off. And I'm going to grab more green paint. And I'm just dabbing and schmoozing. That's all I'm doing. Right? See me? I'm just dabbing my brush. That's all I'm doing. And I'm kind of just moving the paint around. Okay? And now I'm going to grab some yellow. Just yellow. And I'm going to put in my highlight with just yellow. Right? I'll wipe my brush off. And I'm going to grab the white again. Hopefully not too much this time. And I want to turn around and just smush in the white to add the highlight onto this leaf. So I'm putting it here, there, not everywhere. And I'm kind of just smushing it into the rest of the colors on the leaf. Okay, guys? So, and I'm building it up. All right, so now that I have that, I can grab a little bit more white. I can grab a little bit more white and build it up. Don't do it all in one shot. Build it up. Okay? And add your highlights, okay? So, wherever you think the light is going to hit the leaf. That's all there is to it. And if you want to get really drastic, you can add dark to it too. So I'm going to grab just blue with that green. And in here, I'm going to add the just blue with the green. Okay, so I'm going to put these little dabs in. Now I'm going to wipe my brush off. And I'm going to mix this in with the other colors. So if you want to get really drastic and really like with your leaves, you can do the lighter and the darker to really get the different colors in the leaf. Okay, and I'll grab Mr. Nifty. I dropped the other Nifty in my water. I'm not fishing them out. And I'm going to do my line in the middle. And do my needles. Okay. And that's how you would do your holly leaves. Now your berry, I got to grab a tiny. So I'm grabbing tiny. He's a small little round. And I'm going to grab my red paint. Okay. I'll show you how to do a berry. So the berry is kind of like the ornaments we did the other day. Alright, so filling this in with red. And I'm going to grab a microscopic amount of blue. And I'm going to come into this edge right here. Wiping off my brush. Okay, and I'm going to grab more red. That was a little too much blue. So I'm going to grab more red. Right, just like that. Just kind of tapping it along, moving it around, no worries. And now I'm going to grab a microscopic amount of white. See? Microscopic amount. And I'm going to come over here, and then a little on this side, because it's round, and add the highlight. Alright, so that is how you would do a berry. Alright, moving right along. So, let's do our pine cone. So, I'm going to grab Mini-Me. And that light brown that I made before. And now I'm just going to put in these dashes following the arch. Okay, following the arch that I made before. Okay, and then I'm going to grab the dark brown that I made before Didn't clean my brush off, just grabbing the dark brown. And I'm going to put in more dashes. Okay, so I didn't clean off my brush or anything. I'm letting all these colors mix together. All right, create whatever they want to create on my canvas. Now I'm going to just wipe my brush off, still not cleaning, and I'm going to grab the black with that brown. And I'm going to do some more with the darker color. So, pine cones, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And, hi Katie, how you doing, sweetheart? So, just grabbing the black with the brown. And here, there, not everywhere. Here, there, not everywhere. I'm going to make these little darker pieces. So, there is your pine cone. Yes. Your pine cone. Just like that. Alright, now, what do we have left? I did the holly, I did the, alright, the poinsettia. Okay, so, to finish off your poinsettias. Alright, and swirl, tap, dab, mini-me, get all that black out of there. And grab white paint, and I'm going to put dots here so we can do the yellow on that. Alright, so I'm going to put the dots in. Alright, and I'm going to grab that 1/2 inch flat. I'm going to grab that 1/2 inch flat. Swirl, tap, dab in that because I got green all in that guy. Oh, I got green all in it. Alright, so how would you finish off your poinsettias? Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, guys. You can totally do this. You know, you might have to practice a little bit. I'm trying to find clean paper towel. There we go. So, I'm going to turn around with the leaves that are underneath first. So, I'm going to grab my red and a smidge of black, like microscopic again. We're at microscopic levels here. And I'm going to grab my red. Right, do a little dab on the side of my palette here. Look how messy my palette is tonight. I love it. I like it a lot. Alright, so I'm going to do the petal that's underneath everything first. So I'm going to follow that edge right there. I'm going to put my edge in. Alright, and then I'm going to pull it. I'm going to pull it down. Right, till I get about halfway. I'm going to wipe my brush off. And now I'm going to grab just red. Now I'm going to grab just the red paint. Okay, and where this meets that, we're just going to do a little zigzag zoom action. Just a little back and forth action to soften that out. See that? Just a nice little back and forth. Bam, 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 just like that. Okay, so this guy, right? So he's got one side underneath and one side on top. Oh no, Eve, what do we do? It's not that hard. Easy peasy, guys. Microscopic amount of black with my red. Again, doing a little mini mix. And I'm going to do the edge of the flower that is underneath the petal. Okay. And I'm going to pull that out. But don't get too close to the edge that's going to be lighter, right? So I'm going to pull that out. Now I'm going to wipe off my brush. And I'm going to grab just red. Right? Do the same thing I did with the other petal. Going to do a little zigzag zoom action. Softening that line out. Right, so just red paint now. Okay, now I'm going to grab a little bit of white. Again, microscopic amounts. And I'm going to turn around and put it on this edge. Wipe my brush off. and soften. Do, 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 do. Little zigzag zoom, that's it. And just soften it out. Just like that, you have a petal that is over one leaf, but under the other, okay? So, and then this guy is on top of all of them. So, I'm going to take white and my red, and I'm going to do my edges with the white and the red. All right, fix my edges up. All right, if you ever get globs like that, just push it into the object. Okay, just push it into the object. That's all you need to do. All right, so I'm going to work this in here. And then I'm going to grab just red. Put that in the middle here. Right, just red paint. And if you notice, I'm just doing dabs, right, to get it to have a little bit of like a texture looking. Just doing dabs. Okay, and then I'm going to grab some of that darker red, right, that I did with the black on my palette. And in here, I'm going to do the darker. And then I'm going to grab just my red and zigzag zoom that. So if you want to get like really fancy, if you want smooth leaves, you just go over them. So if you want to add a little bit of darker in the center, you can. But it's up to you. It's all up to you. And that, you do that same thing all the way around, exactly the way I just showed you. And then of course, now that this is dry, you can turn around and put your boop, 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 boop yellow in there. All right, so 6,000%. I showed you everything that you need to know to finish off your painting, your composition. So, unless you guys have any questions, we're going to call this one. Yes, we're going to call it. Pull your bag out. Hi, guys. All right, so I hope you learned a lot. And I hope that you guys can make amazing paintings for yourself and be able to, and Tina M, I hope your friend loved her painting that you're creating for her. $6,000%. Anyone watching the replays, of course, you can always ask me any question you need to. So that is always there, and it is always free to watch. Tips are appreciated, so I will post those links again. If there's any paintings you guys have seen me do and create, the paintings are for sale. So if, you know, you want a gift for somebody or anything, you really learned a lot. Awesome, Tina B. I'm so happy about that. That really warms my heart. So if there's any paintings that, nice, a big batch of chicken and noodles. Nice, Tina M. You know what? I think I'm coming down with something myself. Do I get some chicken and noodles? You are welcome. Yes. Good night, Lisa V. I expect to see some pine cones and poinsettias in your Christmas cards. Still cracks me up that people were like showing interest, and they take a long time. I don't think anybody realizes that. And painting smaller is harder. So, and I hope you guys right, Tina? How would we ship chicken and noodles? I have no idea. Oh, that cracks me up. Not really sure how they would ship chicken and noodles. But it's all good. So, still have some kits left. Still have some paint, brush sets left. And also, guys, share away. So the 28th is going to be a special Christmas painting, and I'm going to do giveaways. Yes! And give you a little hint, I'm going to ask questions about myself and my videos. So, you know, if you want to watch some videos, brush up on a few answers to the questions, you might want to. Yeah, I'm not really sure how you would ship chicken and noodles. Sounds tasty, though. Sounds really good. So, I hope your friends are going to be doing well. And, I just want to thank everybody for joining me tonight. So, on that note, I'm going to say goodbye. My lips are still stained. And I'll see you all on Friday. All right? So, yep, see everybody on Friday. So, have a good night. And y'all warm my heart. Have fun and go create, okay? Good night, everybody. Just got some on my fingers. Good night, everybody.